Link building, the part of SEO we all love to hate. But why is it that so many SEOs feel that way? Well, with link building, you need to constantly stay one step ahead of the curve. And that means not sending the same templated outreach message that everyone else is using. Okay, so be unique, but how the hell do you do that? Well, glad you asked, because today my guest is going to show that to you. Her name is Bibi the Link Builder, and she builds hundreds of guest posts every single month. She has an agency with over 20 people working for her. And what makes her so special is she's really good at cold outreach emails. Her approach is funny, entertaining, and really makes her stand out. But it's also systematizable and scalable. And be sure to tune in for the full episode because I've prepared a surprise test for her. I'm going to be giving her a random selection of niches which I've prepared in advance, and I'm going to ask her to create outreach messages specifically for sites in that niche. Now, she doesn't know this is happening, so we're going to put her on the spot a little bit and see if she really knows what she's doing. Let's get started. Welcome to the podcast, Bibi. How's it going?
It's good. I'm a little bit tired, but it's Friday, so I'm probably not going to do anything on Saturday except read tons of zombie books. That's my thing right now.
Zombie books. That sounds interesting.
I think it's my twisted way to deal with the with the coronavirus. Ever since lockdown happened, I've been just binging a lot of zombie books, and they all suck horribly, but the one I'm reading right now is amazing. It's called The Rising, and it's nonstop gory, action-packed awfulness. Yeah, it's really great.
Is this your secret? Is this where you get all your creativity when it comes to link building outreach then from zombie horror books?
No, but you've just gave me an idea. I'm going to
what idea is that?
Campaign. Would be endless source of inspiration. Thank you.
Okay, well, welcome to the show anyway. And for the few people watching who haven't heard of you or don't know you so far, you're obviously a link builder and you run a link building company. Can you tell us what are some of the best links you've managed to build? Give us a flavor of the kind of stuff you can do.
Okay, one of the best links was, well, I can't actually say the domain, but it was a link on the #1 psychology site. And it was actually linking out to a client for burial insurance.
Okay.
And the article was
about... Difficult niche to do link building in, I imagine.
Yeah. And the article was about how to prepare your parents for a bright future. So it wasn't just a really hard link to get, but it was the irony around the whole thing was just so hilarious, you know? So I'm really proud of that link.
And in terms of quantity, how many links does your company build per month, sort of on average?
Yeah, so I think we're supposed to build 300 links a month. But we're a little bit below that, you know, you aim for something and then it never happens that you reach that target. Well, I don't. Also because my link building process depends a lot on the goodwill of editors. But you could say that, yeah, between 200 and 300 links a month. Okay,
so you got some pretty serious scale but behind this, and these are good links as well. What's your average DR of a link that you get for your clients?
Well, I don't really focus on DR that much.
What metric do you use?
Well, none.
Or do you use any metrics? Okay, well we'll get into that later in the show.
Yeah, well, I do follow metrics minimums if the client wants it, so then I follow it. But if it were up to me, I just kind of use my eyeballs to see if a site's good.
Okay.
So the DR can range between 20 and 90, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you build your first link?
Oh, Jesus. I think that was maybe like 3 years ago or a little bit longer. No, I think it was 3 to 4 years ago. Yeah.
So in 3 or 4 years, you've gone from not knowing how to do link building to running a company, building hundreds of high quality links per month. That's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
how did that
Um,
happen? I don't know.
so one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today is because you have this kind of like secret sauce aura about you, about the way you communicate with people when you're doing outreach.
Mm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, and like what is it that makes you so effective at this, where many SEOs have terrible open rates and are just getting nowhere with it? What are you doing?
I think, well, first of all, it's not such a secret sauce because if you guys follow me, the articles that I write or the talks that I do, I always share the stuff, mostly exactly how I do it. But that said, I think that other link builders or anybody getting into link building is so obsessed with scaling and systemizing everything that they lose the human aspect. And for me, I'm very personable, I'm very human oriented, and I always try to see things from the perspective of the prospect that I reach out to. For instance, when I just started, I was in a blogger group with all these mommy bloggers, and those are the scariest species on the planet, and for link builders. And I asked them, so why do you guys hate link builders? And I thought that they would say, they're trying to take advantage of us, or they're spamming us, or whatever. But the number one reason was that people didn't look at their site, so they didn't pay any attention to them. And so I guess my secret sauce is that I'm more personable, but I also pay just this little bit more attention to who I'm talking to, and that makes all the difference. So it's not even that I'm genius or whatever; it's just a little bit extra.
Okay, we'll get into a few examples
Yeah.
of how you approach different types of sites later on. But can you tell me a bit about your prospecting strategies? Like, how do you identify sites you potentially want to link from?
Yeah, there are a couple of ways, but so I look for sites based on specific keywords that you want to rank for, but I also look at sites that are businesses themselves, so they don't monetize through their content, but they monetize through their products and services, and and those businesses should share part of your audience or part of your niche. Um, and how I look for them is that I use keywords that only those sites would rank for. I call them expert keywords, or keywords that, for instance, a local business would rank for. If you say dentist, you could say dentist book appointments, because then you know that you're actually getting real dentist. Plus informational keywords like tips and tricks and how to, because then you get the dentists that are real dentists, so they don't make money with their site. Well, not with the informational part of it. And they have a blog. So that's how I find prospects.
So you're specifically looking for sites that don't monetize their information, that have a real product or service
Yeah.
behind that. Is that because it's easier to get a link or cheaper to get a link, or what's the thinking there?
All those things. It's easier to get a link because you can imagine that a real company, their content marketing is something they need to do, but they might not have all the time for it. So if you can give them anything, for instance, a guest post or a linkable asset that they can base some content on, that can help them, that can help sell to their audience. So it's much easier to pitch to them as a writer for a guest post or for a linkable asset. And it's also cheaper because they're not that interested in making money with their content. They're more interested in selling to their audience and branding themselves.
And do you have any tips on how to actually do this? I mean, are you just going to Google and kind of looking around, use Ahrefs, use any other tools to identify these?
Yeah, so I use Pitchbox, that has a
Mhm.
kind of like a scrapey thingy in it. And you have
So for
yeah.
people, I know Pitchbox is quite a high end tool. I think it starts at like $500 a month or something.
Yeah.
For people who listen and haven't used it before, can you just sort of explain in a nutshell what it does and why you use it?
Yeah, Pitchbox is an outreach tool, but more importantly, it takes over a lot of the project management side of link building. And you use it to build campaigns, and then you email people from Pitchbox, and you receive replies back in your inbox And that's how you manage your link outreach.
And how do you use it specifically for the tactic you mentioned before?
Yeah, so you have all these different sets of campaign types that you can use. You can decide that you want to do a resource link campaign or a roundup campaign, and then there are preset features that you can run with specific keywords, and then you get a prospect list that you have to clean up a little bit, and then you can do your outreach. But what I like to do is the Google Search Operator campaigns. They're also in Pitchbox. And there I just put in about 15 keywords, and then they start finding the sites in a list, and then have my guys inspect and personalize. So they check each site if it's a good site, and they personalize it. They check the data, the contact information. Then someone creates a template, and the outreach starts. So that's how we do it.
So can you tell me about the quality factors you look at? I mean, you mentioned you don't actually pay attention to DR or any of these kind of SEO metrics. What are you looking at in that?
Yeah, there are a couple of things. So we use our eyes to look at the site, and so first off, if you see 1,000, if you see a lot of sites, you start to recognize that it's a content only site, yeah, and you can have really big sites that just have content and don't offer any products and services, and those would be good sites as well. But you'll recognize the SEO site, so the sites that are clearly made to attract people for selling links. So that their design is crap, or old. They don't keep up with their content. I always say it's kind of like a garden. When you go into a garden, when you look around you and does it feel like a garden that somebody took care of? If it looks neglected, or there's all this plastic crap in it, it's not the garden for you. The other thing that we look for is if they have a right for us page, very blatantly visible. So sometimes sites do have it, but they don't really advertise it or anything. But other sites, they have it, really big in their navigation, and then you know that they get outreached by thousands of link builders, and they're so used to, getting paid for links or having anybody post on their site. That's not a good thing. And I also check if there are real people behind it, but that's not always a rule. But if there's a page that has a team, and there are people working in a company, there's a marketing manager, an editor, and there's a CEO and all that stuff, then it's usually a good site for me.
So basically, you're looking for a real site that's a real business
Yeah.
and not just a content farm or a guest post farm,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, and I think it doesn't mean that that a content only site can't be good. They can be great. I mean, look at Livestrong or something like that. Although they have some products as well. But I just tell people, if you doubt longer than 5 minutes or 3 minutes about a site, then just delete it. Because if the site makes you doubt and makes you start looking into all these metrics, and then you do see some weird dips in the traffic or whatever, it's just a total waste of your time, because in that same time you can find 5 sites where you don't have to doubt for a second.
So do you look at how much traffic the site gets according to, Ahrefs or any of these things as a factor in your decision?
A little bit, because sometimes clients do want a minimum of traffic. The problem with the Ahrefs traffic is that it's highly unreliable. So it's more like a accumulation of red flags. If a site is great, but there's a dip in traffic or something, it's not a big deal. But if a site looks sucky and there's weird traffic stuff going on, and they have some spammy backlinks, and they reply with an answer that says, "Oh, I have 20 other sites," then I'm like out the door. But I tell people, if a site really feels good and there's one little bad thingy about it, that's totally fine.
Do you look at the other sites they link out to as well? Like if they have a lot of casino or CBD links,
Yeah.
is that a red flag for you?
Yeah, so I don't check it standard. But if a site gives me some doubt, or if I have a suspicion, I start checking their outgoing links.
Okay. And how do you go about finding the contact info? I know Pitchbox has some technology built in. Do you use that? Do you use Hunter? Do you have any manual processes?
No, I use Pitchbox and it usually comes up with like 20 emails, but I have everyone check at each site manually. So they have to kind of guess what the right emails are, but they always have to look at the contact and about page, because there might be a really good contact email address on there, or people might say we don't want you to reach out to us for guest posts or links. That I respect that. I don't want to reach out to those sites.
And do you pay attention to whether they've done guest posts in the past, or they've any other people have guest posted on the site rather?
No, maybe I should, but we don't. What we do is that when you look at the blog post and it looks like every other post is a guest post linking out to a company, then that's a little bit of a red flag of a link seller. If it's a really good site, we do reach out anyway, but it's one of those things that could indicate it's just a link farm. The other thing that you can always think that the site is really great, and then when you reach out to them and they reply in your inbox, the tone by which they reply and the way they reply can make you disqualify a site.
So what would be a case where you disqualify someone based on the reply? What kind of things would they say?
Yeah, if they say stuff like, oh, it's immediately like, oh, it's $20 and we have 20 other sites and links to gambling is $100. And I'm like, bye, Felicia. And I blacklist them right away. So that would be a reply that I wouldn't like.
Why specifically is that? So, I mean, obviously, if they have a network of sites that indicates they're maybe a guest post farm, if they have different pricing for casino or CBD than the rest, what's that telling you about them, and why is that a factor for your decision?
It shows that anybody can place a link on their site if they have the money, and that I don't know what other link builders are going to do with that site. Maybe they're going to blast it with some spam tier 2 or 3 or whatever you want to call it links. And also the other thing is that the person that runs the site, they might have some criteria for posting on the site now, but in the end they get broke or something, or they want fast money and they drop their criteria more and more. It just becomes a really crappy site. So I don't want to take that risk. I rather want somebody that cares about their site and cares about who they let in. I like it when somebody replies not so enthusiastic and they really want to they have some more questions about it, or they have a long list of criteria and you have to go through this whole editorial process, because those people really care about their sites and they won't let anybody on there that easily.
So you're looking for people who care about their sites because they're real businesses and who have high standards. You basically want everyone else who's doing kind of spammy link building not to want to bother to jump over those hurdles.
Exactly.
To get it to.
Yeah, I don't want to make the analogy with dating, but I'm going for the hard to get ones for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and do the way you look at sites differ from niche to niche? I mean, if you're in, I don't know if you take sites in like casino or CBD or even like credit card stuff, is it not like all of the links you're getting there are a little bit more spammy than if you're doing, I don't know, pets or something?
Yeah, it's funny. So I'm actually starting for the first time in gambling link building. And it's for a client that really wants my style of link building, so more like organic and all that stuff. So I have to see how that's going to turn out, because I don't know. I have done some credit card stuff, and even then, I think because they were okay with paying for links, I think in that regards, I would drop my criteria a little bit, because if a site is used to dealing with paid links, then it's okay. But they have to have their own criteria. I want them to be the gatekeeper against other spammy link builders. But it's more like a case by case thing. Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to what you actually say in your outreach message, like this is what you're kind of known for.
Yeah.
Where do you start? I take it you don't have a template that you go off of and you customize a few things. You're doing something pretty special here. What is it?
Thank you. Well, it is funny though, because I used to do bespoke outreach. Like for every site, it would be completely unique for that site. I would look at their site and see something that jumped out to me and then create an angle for that in the email. For instance, there was a site, a pretty big site, but I found out that they were Hungarian people. So I made my email a little bit Hungarian. And I looked at their about page and I took things off the about page and incorporated those in my email. That was bespoke outreach. So that worked really, really well. But because I got more customers and a bigger team, so now I have like 23 people, that's hard, you don't have the time or brain power to do these bespoke emails. So now we actually do work from templates, but we customize them for each niche. So, well, for each client, basically. So what we do is that you look at the prospect list and you look at what kind of similarities they have in their content and how they talk and what their interests are. And then you theme your template that way. So for instance, for cybersecurity, we did Star Wars themed templates with a lot of jokes and Baby Yoda memes and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what we do, and we use a lot of humor and puns in the emails.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because I prepared a little game for you, and I'm sorry to kind of put you on the spot a little bit here, but I've put some serious production work into this. It's called the Game of Niches.
Oh no!
So,
dude,
we have behind this game board we have 8 mystery niches. So I'm going to ask you to pick 3 numbers from here. Each one contains a niche, some more difficult than others. And then I'm going to ask you to, on the spot, live, come up with an outreach approach or something which you would say when crafting a template. So,
okay, cool.
Can I have your first number, please?
Okay, can I give one disclaimer though? Because my team now makes a template, so I might be a little bit wrong.
No excuses, Bibi. Come on, you can do this.
Okay, cool. 7.
7. Okay, what do we have here? So we've got wedding speeches.
Oh, I did that. I did a campaign for that.
Okay.
Shit. Okay, what did we do? So what I normally would do is that I will go to a pun site, and I see some sites here. I see Elite Daily has 39 wedding puns. Then there's Pinterest, but I want to skip that. So it has to be kind of wedding related. Punpedia. Carriage marriage. Okay, so here it says your marriage awaits. I might use that as a subject line, right? So your marriage awaits. And then a proposal for, and then I would do the site name or the person's name. So in your case, it would be your marriage awaits, a proposal for Mark. Yeah. And then I would have, this is a guest post pitch, so I would have to go into wedding speech sites. So then I'm going to Google something that a wedding speech site might rank for. So best wedding speech ideas for best friend or best man. Let's do best man. And that what I'm doing now is that I'm looking at potential prospects because there'll probably be wedding sites. So hitch.co.uk and the knots and all speeches great and small. That could be a good one. Then I look through the content of a wedding site because I want to see what kind of stuff they're talking about, because that's going to give me ideas for content. You can also use actually SEMrush for this. I have it open here. It's called Topic Research. And let's do wedding speech. Let's see what comes up. So you put in a keyword into topic research, and then it's going to analyze content or something. I'm not entirely sure how it works. This is exactly how I would do it. I would just jump back and forth between different tools and things. So I'm looking at hitch.co.uk. Okay, so here's I see some things about guest list, wedding suppliers, checklist. Now, I would probably pitch an article about managing your wedding suppliers. So avoid wedding migraines. How to manage your wedding suppliers. That would be one pitch. The other one would be 7 tips to stay on track with your wedding checklist. And then I would do another one maybe about wedding speech. How to not fumble through your wedding speech, or 10 creative angles to your wedding speech. So that could be.
So you're pitching these guest post ideas in the first email, like when you send it. Yeah. Okay.
So
and
yep.
Do you just go straight in with the pitch for that, or do you sort of like say something to get their attention first?
Well, in the subject line, I do often use a pun. So in this case, it would be your marriage awaits. It's not that great, but it does stand out sometimes in an inbox. But I combined it with your marriage awaits, a pitch for Mark, because I want to qualify people with my subject line. If somebody is not interested in a pitch, they don't open the email, right? And that's totally fine. But they see immediately from the subject line what I want. So then they open the email, and then I could incorporate another joke. That would be like, I would look for, I'm not going to do that right now, but if you look for 10 best jokes about marriage or about relationships, I would use that in the first paragraph of the email. And then I would do.
And these are like really cheesy, like dad joke level jokes, or what kind of jokes?
Yes, they're very, very dad jokes. Dad jokes are the meat of my business, I would say, and cat memes as well. So
do you send images sometimes in your outreach?
In my follow-ups, yeah. I don't do it in the first one because I'm a little bit paranoid about it. Some people have said that it could cause problems, but I've never tested it out. But I do in the follow-ups. I use a lot of cats and Baby Yoda stuff and everything that's cute. So the subject line needs to draw their attention. It shouldn't sound like a link builder or a sales letter, but it also qualifies the prospect. Yeah, so when they open, they kind of know it's going to be a pitch. So then they open, I do another little joke, or sometimes I also did, during the lockdown, I did a heartfelt thing about the lockdown, but not in a fake way. It was just like, life sucks, something like that. And then I say, hey, to help couples get through marriage season while being stuck at home, I thought of the following topics for your site. And then I just pitched the 3 headlines. And then I say something like, I'm happy to tweak or edit or rephrase this for you if you think it's a better, it's more suitable. And then I get.
And do you go in saying, hey, I'm a writer, I want to get my work out there, or are you saying, hey, I'm want to do a guest post to get a do follow backlink from you, or what kind of language are you using around that stuff?
Yeah, so I'm pitching like a writer, but I don't say that I'm a writer. Often I actually speak on behalf of the client, so the signature has the client in it. I'm not really specific about it. So the email looks like a writer that's pitching some stuff, but I do sometimes mention the word guest in it. I would love to write a guest feature, or if you're open to guest writers, or if there's an open spot in your editorial calendar for guest writers, that they do see the word guest. So it's because sometimes people do get confused and they try to hire me.
Right.
And like, no. And then I say, no, I'm just trying to increase our visibility. And that's why I love writing for other sites. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Shall we pick another one from the game of niches board?
Okay.
What number do you want next?
Basically the same process. Let's do number 1.
Number 1. We got my favorite. It's the paintball niche.
Oh, you already did something in your podcast about that. You did it.
Whenever we can't think of an example of a niche, we just default to paintball, and it's kind of become a thing on the podcast.
Okay.
So it makes sense that it was included here.
Paintball. I would again look into paintball sites.
So you're Googling paintball puns to begin with, are you?
Paintball puns. But I've skipped to say something really important about this stuff, and that's to determine your prospect list first. So basically, what I do is segmenting and theming. So theming is the part that I showed you. You like with the wedding puns and all that stuff. But you have to know who you're writing to, otherwise you don't know what they're interested in. So for the paintball sites, it would be most obvious to reach out to other paintball sites, for instance. But I could also think about other types of prospects. So then it would maybe be parenting blogs. And in that case, I wouldn't do paintball puns. I would do parenting puns.
Okay.
Yeah, because it has to be themed to the prospect, not necessarily to me. So for instance, for let's say parents, then I would look for parenting puns, but maybe especially with the lockdown. And because I'm a parent myself, I can also think about it. But I'm just gonna try to do this as if I was a new link builder and I didn't know anything, right? So I'm looking at an article at today.com, and it's about the funniest post about homeschooling, and it's stuff on Twitter. Let me see. Okay, so here I see a tweet from a mom, and she says, "Boss on phone, how are things going? Me gazing out the window at my kids strangling each other whilst jumping barefoot in a trampoline. Great." So what this says to me is that kids are fighting at home, of course, because parents are getting super stressed out. So why don't I write in the subject line, how to make the most of your kids fighting? Because parents would be like, what are you talking about? Why would I make the most of it? And then I would qualify it with a pitch for or contributing to, and then a site name or a person. And then going in the email, I would probably make another joke about fighting kids, or I would say, just give him a gun. Or no, that would be too far. I wouldn't be doing it. Just give him a paintball gun, or I don't know, something, that would relate it to paintball. Because when your kids fight, why not take all that aggression out with a paintball gun?
That's really good, actually. I think that would work very well. Something I noticed that all these approaches seem to do is it's very much like triggering emotions of people.
Yes.
Like when you mentioned the lockdown thing, it's kind of like negative or sad emotion, but the humor is obviously the funny emotion. But that seems to be what evokes a response the most, would you say?
Yeah, that's so well observed. I've never thought about that, but I think that's all I do. I just poke at people a little bit. I even do it in a negative way sometimes. Like for instance, I was reaching out to health food bloggers, right? I think I told this before somewhere else. And instead of doing something positive, I said I think I said it in the subject line, like, your smoothie sucks. Because they all have smoothie recipes, right? And then I talked about how I tried out their smoothie recipe, but it's just extremely disgusting. And that I clearly must be doing something wrong, And then again, you have to find the right tone. It can be kind of tricky, but it's sort of a compliment, but it's also a trigger in a negative way. And yeah,
have you ever kind of gotten the wrong response when trying something like that?
Yes. I just did a thing to IT professionals, and it was completely Harry Potter themed. And we got a lot of good responses back and won a lot of links. But one guy was like, "This is the worst unprofessional email I've ever gotten in my life." And He just spent like 1,000 words on how horrible I was there. But sometimes it can also surprise you, because we also did a campaign, and I can't really go into details, but the subject line was a little bit flirty, and
Hmm.
it was punny. It was a little bit flirty, but it had to do with font, letter font, types of letters. Um, and I thought it was risky, but then it worked so well. It was just the conversion rate was so high on it. So you have to just try stuff out. But I do tell people, no sexist stuff, no racist stuff. Try no controversial stuff. Don't be a creep.
Yeah. Politics and religion, and maybe sidestep that one as well.
Yeah. But getting negative responses, it's okay. It's just part of the thing. I think people, I think, yeah, I don't know. I think you bother people more with a very generic, fake flattery email than with something that makes them go like, huh? What the, what is this now?
Have you ever turned a negative response into a link?
I don't think so, actually. I've had some keyboard warriors that were just like getting into it, and then I would talk back to them, but it would only egg them on. It would only get worse.
Yeah.
I was nice to them, but they were just in this little tunnel thing. So really negative responses, no. I do have people that can sometimes be critical and stuff, and I think it's important that you always have to leave your ego at the door. You don't need to be doormat, but don't get caught up in the emotion, because it's not a rejection of you. It's just you don't know.
Sometimes you just catch people and they're having a bad day, something else
Exactly.
affect them. They wouldn't normally react like that, and you're just happen to be there to bear the brunt of whatever chips on their shoulder at that point in time. And
Yeah.
you outreach to enough people, you talk to enough people, and this is gonna happen to you. So you just have to, leave your ego at the door, as you said, and kind of move on.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed, because by now I've trained a lot of people, and they all have to go over that hurdle of rejection. And I tell them it's not a life or death situation. If somebody's being a dick or whatever, you're not gonna die. It's just an email that you delete, and you're done. But you get so much, the way we do outreach, you get so many positive replies back all day long. So that really makes it worth.
Do you get a lot of people saying, "Oh, a lot of people outreach to me, but this is the first one I've answered. I don't normally respond to this thing."
Yeah, yeah, nonstop. And people thanking you for emailing them. I mean, how? You're cold emailing people that never heard of you, and they actually say thank you. You made my day. You made me smile or whatever. So yeah, that's really nice.
Do you often have to like negotiate with people or like explain? No, I'm not necessarily just talking about like paying them or price,
Mhm.
although we can get into that. But do you often have to like explain further what you want and like convince them why it's a good idea for you to do it? Do you end up getting into some of those discussions?
Yeah. So that's another thing that I always tell to my guys, and I have to remind myself as well. Just be laid back. Don't push, don't beg, don't demand anything, because this is cold outreach. You initiated this. They're not obliged to anything to you. So if somebody says, I'm not interested or whatever, then I always tell people you have to reply, because it's polite. Just say, that's all good. Have a great day. And sometimes a month later they come back to you, but that shouldn't even be in your brain. So it also takes the stress out of it, because I always tell them, don't try to get the link. Just have a nice conversation, explain what you're doing. If they want it, good. If they don't want it, then it's fine. Because I don't want people to feel like they have to win the link. It's a bit counterintuitive, but I think somebody at the other end of the email, they can sense when you're desperate,
Mhm.
and that doesn't work. Not for us.
I think if you be too pushy as well,
Yeah.
especially over email, if you try and do kind of like salesman techniques that may work, in a high pressure in person sales tech situation, the because people just have time to think about it and stop and reflect, it can really like turn people off quite quickly as well.
Yeah, I think so. And the risk of it as well is that they can flag you as spam. And once your email is flagged as spam, your whole campaign is fucked. You have to repair all that stuff. So I rather just lose the opportunity than pushing people to flag me.
How do you sort of protect your deliverability, and what do you do when you encounter issues with that like that?
Yeah, so I'm not a deliverability expert, but we do the whole DMARC, DKIM, SPF thing, and we warm them up ourselves manually. I know there are tools out there as well, but we're not using them at the moment. With newsletters, with emails going back and forth, um, and we kind of throttle the how much email we send out a day. So it's between for each client, it's between 20 and 40. And I think Pitchbox also has a whole system behind their outreach tool that uses mail servers that protect email deliverability. But I'm not so technical with that stuff, so I don't know.
Okay. And when it comes to actually writing the guest post content, do you have any kind of processes? Do you have in-house team that does that? Do you outsource it? How do you handle it?
Yeah, I have a really good friend recommended this South African service to me, and we've been working with them now for over a year or something. Um, and they just keep hiring more writers. Yeah, we just order through them. We just switched to Clickup. It's a project management tool, and in the Clickup tool, we have a space, a content tracker, and we ordered the articles through that. We just and then the woman who manages the service, she's in our Clickup as well and in our Slack, and that's how we order things.
And how much direction do you give to them? Or do you just sort of give them the title and ask them to write it, or are you getting kind of more into it than that?
No, it's basically the headline. And then there are some things that are always standard. So it's like 1,000 words or whatever. But for some prospects, they want more words or less words. So we put that in. But otherwise than that, it's all up to them how they do it.
Okay. And how many people do you have working for you now?
I think 23 or 25. I don't know.
It's a pretty big size for a link building team. How do you split up the work? Do you have different people doing prospecting and outreach, or how do you divide the roles?
Yeah, that's so interesting because I partnered up with a business partner. And this was when I couldn't take on more clients. I was at client capacity, and I've been working with this business partner before. But then we decided to partner up, and we had two teams. So he would run his team, I would run my team, and we would often co-work on the same project. Um, but his approach was very different than mine. He had very like a Fordism kind of module, so everybody had one role, and that's all they did, which worked really well in terms of productivity. But I think the downside of it was that there was a lot of dependency on specific people. So there was a lot of pressure for one person, to handle all the inboxes or stuff like that. In my team, I hired more creative people and I trained them through the whole process, and which made the productivity a little bit lower because they had to switch a lot between things and they had to learn a lot. But now we're kind of seeing the benefits of it because they have grown into more a project management role. So now we have team leads that can just run their own 4 or 5 projects at the same time with other team members, and that's what we're kind of merging the teams now, and we're gonna do more of those sub team division style thingy. I like to see people grow and be in the role and do the task that they feel most comfortable with and it makes them happy. So if somebody comes in and they're really good at inspecting and personalizing and they don't want to do anything else, then it's fine, then they just do that. If they change their mind later on, it's fine too. I also have people that are extremely good with templates and dealing with prospects, and they started doing inspect and personalize, and they're just completely miserable because it's such a fucking boring thing to do. And I tell them, okay, that's fine. You just do that. So it's not. I've seen both worlds now. I think it's both okay, but
What type of people are you hiring for to do link building? I know a lot of people struggle to find good people to fill that role. I think one of the problems is you go on somewhere like Upwork and you say I'm hiring a link builder.
No.
The type of people who apply, yeah, they come with certain pre-existing knowledge, and that can often be a bad thing. So,
Yeah.
how do you do it?
I hire people green. I mean, I have a lot of people that message me on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and they want me to hire them. But I always say no because I don't want to hire SEOs and I don't want to hire link builders because they have their own methods, you know, and it's really hard to break them out of that. But I hire most people on online jobs. So, and then I post an ad for.
That's onlinejobs.ph
Yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah. So,
Philippines. Yeah.
and I post a job for a copywriter basically. But then I do explain in the ad what kind of work they will be doing, that I will train them. I have a video in the job posting, and the job posting is quite long. So there's a long list of requirements, blah, blah, blah. But in the video, I actually tell them how to apply. So if they don't watch the video, they start applying through online jobs, and I don't hire them. They don't even show up on my radar. So when they apply through the process of the video, they go through some automatic tests. Automatic tests. And they have to do a lot of work before they even get to talk to me. So the people that do apply, first off, they're detail oriented. You know, they watch the video, they get how they actually should do it. And then they do a lot of tests, which is a lot of work, you know, before you get hired. And one of those tests has to do with creative writing and with the work that they're going to do. So I look for potential. If they don't get the guest post stuff or the other stuff, it's totally fine. But they have to be creative, and their English has to be really, really good. Not formal, but casual. And once they're done, if they go through all those tests, and I usually end up with about 6 people. You know, on online jobs, I think 900 people see the ads, then 100 people apply, and then 30 people apply through the way they should be applying. And then of those people are 6 or 5 left. Then I have a last Skype chat with them. And in the Skype chat, we just start talking, and I ask them stuff about their work setup, their expectations, and all those things. But I'm actually testing the way they're communicating with me. Because often people at the last, I mean, you can spend 10 hours and really ace a test, right? But I need to be able to see how you talk live, how you improvise and all that stuff. And then when I have a good feeling about them, I hire them on the spot, because by that time they've gone through so many hoops, you know, I kind of reward them with not having them in anguish anymore. So I'm not looking for link builders. I'm not looking for data entry people, or I'm looking for creative people.
And once they come onto your team, how do you then train them in the link building? Do you have them shadow other people, or do you personally train them? Do you have?
I have so there's kind of like a training. So it's a series of videos and tasks. And I used to have Trello, but now I have Clickup. So I have it's like a template of tasks. They just go through every task, and then they watch a video, then they do the task, and then I give them feedback. But I don't give them feedback directly. I record the feedback, because I've noticed that people, when you give them direct feedback, for some people it's kind of confrontational. So they start apologizing for stuff, which is not necessary, because it's normal to fuck up. And also they absorb what you say better. I mean, my team members have told me that sometimes they watched a video 10 times, you know, just to understand what I was saying. But now, because we have those team leads, they actually train people, but we're still using the same videos and stuff.
Have you noticed any drop off in like quality since you've started having other people who work for you train the new people, or has it not been an issue?
That's a really good question. You know why? Because I'm so anal. I really find it hard to let go. So But there was a really good lesson in that, because people show me their templates, right? They show me what they write, or they show me how they reply. And then I record a video with what I think about it. And I'm always like, this sucks, and this is stupid, and you can't say it that way, and this is horrible, and you forgot a punctuation mark there, la la la. But the funny thing is that when I don't do that, okay, so sometimes stuff just really sucks. You have to correct it. But a lot of times they send stuff out and they got great links, you know? So I'm no longer the expert on this. This is just my way I do things. And now I'm starting to notice that the thought behind it is the same. So you think about the prospect, you think about what would interest and trigger them, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the way I do it, you know?
So it's kind of bringing in new ideas and people who think a little bit differently from you.
Yes. So I think some of the best templates are definitely not mine, are there from other people. I mean, I had this one guy, there was actually a mistake, because I should have checked the templates and I didn't, and they went out anyway. And it was also about cybersecurity for some reason. And he wrote in his email, these freaking hackers, they're attacking your site and you need to defend, like really going very intense. And then I saw it after and I was like, oh my God, it's horrible. And then this editor from one of the biggest IT sites came back and said, okay, you got me, let's do this, you know? And I thought, how?
Nice.
So the takeaway of this is for people start link building, if you hire creatives, you have to let them go a little bit, you know, and just see what comes up. So that's really important. Don't start,
not be too controlling.
Yeah, and don't do your own idea of link building. Don't put that on them. A little bit, they have to understand the idea, but you have to let them find their own way.
Awesome. So is there anything which I haven't asked you today, which I should have asked you?
I don't know. Oh yes. Who would you like me? Who should be your next guest on the podcast?
On our podcast?
Yeah, I think that's a cool question, though.
So I should ask you who the next guest on our podcast should be.
Yeah, but I haven't thought about it myself. I realize that now. So, no, I don't know.
All right. Bibi, who should the next guest on our podcast be?
So I'm fangirling over this woman, Carrie Rose. Do you know her?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. She does PR link building. Not sure if that's something your audience is interested in, but I really like.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You should invite her. Yeah.
All right. I'll reach out to her and see if she wants to come on.
Yes, that would be cool.
Awesome. Okay, so where can people go to find you? What's your website? What's your socials? All that good stuff.
I'm bbuzz.com. That's my website. bbuzz. Oh, 2 Z's. And on Twitter, I'm also bbuzz.com. And on Facebook, I'm just me, Bibi Raven.
All right. Well, we will put those links below. And you do client work for what type of companies do you typically work for?
All niches basically, and it's usually mid-sized to enterprise. That's okay. Yeah, but it's anything. I've done so many different niches now, from lawyers to chickens.
All right. Well, if there are any chicken owners in the audience listening, you know where to go for link building now. bbuzz.com.
Okay, cool.
Bibi, thanks for coming on today. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and thanks for playing the game of niches as well.
Yeah, you had me sweating.
Sorry. The production value of our podcast has definitely gone up since we've gone into video. I had to go out and find different color Post-it notes for this one. So yeah, it's been a busy day.
Are you gonna? You should get those buzzers. That would be cool. Like so.
That is a fantastic idea. All right, now I know what I'm doing tonight.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. This is awesome. I hope it helps people.
I'm sure it will. Thanks for your insights, and thank you for watching or listening wherever you're sort of tuning in from. If you like this show, if you like this episode, leave us a comment, a rating, a like, a thumbs up, whatever you do on your social media or your podcast player or your YouTube player to let us know, let the world know, let the algorithms know that you enjoyed this episode. So get on, do that stuff, and we'll see you next Monday for another episode. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.